including the EPA guideline that says what? Can I weld on fire escapes with lead? Can I scrape on fire escapes with lead? Or I gotta wear the little white suits and little mask and collect all the things, gooseneck the trash bag, right? So all three questions are answered. So you can have one of these on your website, or you can have one of these faxable, or have one of these just on your counter, so when you write a violation and you send the violation in the mail, what would you send? How to cure it. Because a lot of times you won't write a violation because you don't know how to cure it. So guess what's available to you right now? While I'm on this page, we're going to talk about lead safe. So EPA has stepped in 2010 and says, you do the wrong thing, how many thousands of dollars is it? $35,000 fine for a violation? I told you about OSHA, 1910.37, what a great law, right? Because if you got a major construction company giving you a hard time, who do you call? Say, you're in violation. This building cannot be occupied by any of these people because OSHA states you must have 2 roofs. You only have 1 right now. These are confidence tests. You know where you can get these right now? Everybody write this down. To visit these websites. Visit seattle.gov. Go to fire prevention. And steal everything they have in there. Because I'm not just talking about Farscape, my beautiful little thing that I helped them build. I've been working with Portland, Oregon for 10 years, guys. We've got it down that I can get you insurance in 7.5 minutes. This is actually a Geico commercial. It's not 15 minutes, it's actually 7.5 minutes. It took 10 years since Portland, and I originally came into Seattle, and then Portland actually took the lead. Portland is the most advanced state in the nation right now with this program. And they actually changed their state code to require all the things that we talked about, but there's still a couple of holes in there, but I'm talking about they're at the 95th percentile of this. So go to Seattle, go to seattle.gov, go into their fire prevention and steal everything they have in there, including sprinkler testing documentation, and again, it's all PDF and Word, just steal it, and then see if it fits for you. So, but while you're there, steal the Farscape one, okay? Go to Portland, portland.gov, and over there, if you type in YouTube or on Google, you type in Farscape Issues Portland, my God, this whole section that they created and documented is there. Copy, paste, and steal, right? If you want to go down and check out a great program, Regulation 4 Los Angeles. Regulation 4, I'll tell you, that's a money machine. Ready? Let me tell you what I had to do to get my license. But let me tell you what everybody in fire prevention has to do to get their license. In Regulation 4, LA only, this is not a state thing, this is just Regulation 4, so they've got it down to an ATM machine process. Ready? So, sprinklers, alarms, anybody touching fire protection must license themselves with LA by giving them a $1,000 donation. Every 3 years I must renew my donation, okay, and I believe it's half. I must take a test, a 100-question test, and pass it with the fire chief. Once I pass the test with at least 80, they take me out to the field. In the field, I must show them what my forte is, if it's fire escapes or sprinklers or whatever, so they witness one of your examinations. Then I got to fill out their documentation and submit it back to the city, and that gives me my fire escape assemblies card. And now I am a registered Regulation 4 certified tester in the city of Los Angeles. So they have a great, so if you want to have a system where fire protection is under your control and everybody has a license because you guys make sure that everybody has it, if it's going to be a state thing, I don't know if anybody here from the state, but what a great model, because every 3 years some people get kicked out because they don't, they fail or they don't re-register or whatever. But anybody trying to get in, you just don't let anybody in. They must prove to the city official that they are capable to do that, and they must do it every 3 years. Got it? So I have to pay $1,000, pay the test, do the paperwork correctly, submit, and then come back in and do this every 3 years. Now, that's what I think has to happen. So, but aside from that, they got all kinds. What they didn't have was a Farscape confidence test. And I submitted it, and I said, hey guys, and I submitted it, and I said, hey guys, and they said, oh. All of a sudden one day, without fanfare, what showed up on their website? Checklist confidence test. And I said, oh, this is, but they didn't send me a little pin or a little feather, but Sometimes you do things and you don't always get the hip hip hooray. So they steal them. Got it? We have a model city here that we've worked with, and that's in Jersey City. We've worked with Newark. We've worked with many cities, you know, that basically take some of our examples and they're in that 3 to 5 year test drive. Will it work? You know, it's working somewhere else. Will it at least eliminate some of the problems? Okay, because it's all checklist items. By the way, besides city officials, you know, there's fire escape inspectors. So again, those are the only 2 licenses out there. In Boston, there is no training to be a fire escape inspector. In LA, it's the other extreme. You want something in the middle? This is in Fort Lee, guys. Fire escape pass or fail. Okay? This is actually, a lot of people don't know this. Fort Lee used to be the silent movie Hollywood of the world. And this place used to be a studio for all the silent movies. Now it's a big storage warehouse. You guys who called me? Was it the owner of the building who lives in Florida? Was it the fire marshal? Was it the building inspector that called me about the concern about this? Or was it the secretary who received a letter from a structural engineer saying, fix 2 or 3 things and give it a paint job, she'll be fine? So if it wasn't for that secretary, so I went there and I did an examination. And this is what I came back. I came back with the fire escape was in a state of collapse. But this is a letter from the structural engineer that says, fix these 4 things. So this is what concerns you guys. Some people selling paper. This is what kills tenants and firemen. This is another Chicago one. Another piece of paper. And a lot of these, you know, they're selling them on toilet paper rolls now. So most engineers can get a fire escape affidavit for you. It's sold in toilet paper roll because it has 2 uses. To sign and collect the $500 check, and when not in use, you can wipe your tears away or wipe something else. But this guy said, these fire escapes are fine. Just paint them. In Chicago, there's 150 units. So I said, you don't mind if I go there and just take a look? You know, I trust your word, but, you know, make sure. So this is what I found on this fire escape that just needed a paint job. And these have those through rods that come from up, the brackets are not below, the brackets are from above, it's suspended, and it grabs the tips. Look at the rods. Look at the rods. Some of the bolts I just went there and took them with my hand. So, if this guy had to sign a confidence test that said, is 100% of all the connections in this fire escape free of internal, not surface rust, that's a paint job. Internal rust, and have you verified all the connections into the building? Well, if you look on here, that's question number, when you start signing this document, it's the first thing when you're here, it's the first thing that says all critical materials, connections, and or joints are 100% free of all internal rust and rot. That's a pretty standard statement, isn't it? Pretty powerful. Somebody gonna sign that? Then when you read down, you get numbered anchoring devices. You get down to number 18 and 19 and 20. What's it asking you? Have you verified the connections into the wall, and by what method? Visually, load testing it, or did you duplicate it to eliminate this concern? So what happens? Right? He's going to say, I ain't signing this. Say, well, then you ain't working on this fire escape. Because they will tell you they won't sign this. They'll ask you if this is a state document. What is this, guys? This is an industry standard confidence test available online or at certain websites of state agencies or state cities that have this on their website as an industry standard confidence test. It's a checklist item. Are any of the sprinkler tests standard and approved by a lot of the states? Or do they have, did the industry create certain documentation out there for checklist items? Right? So, let's see what else we have here. Because I want to take a break. I want to take a break and give you guys a chance before we hit the home stretch till 12, 1? What was it?
12.
Sorry. Okay, so, because
Gotta lock it up.
Yeah, well, what I'll do is, I'll make it fair, but you know, a lot of times the most important part here is that you guys walk out here with the knowledge that you need to not be bullied around anymore, not be pushed around anymore. And all you need to do is make sure that you have a place to go to and somebody that you can ask questions for, because a lot of times you wouldn't write a violation out of fear of being ridiculed by the very guy who knew less than you but had a credential called a stamp. So, this is a penitentiary for 17-year-olds and younger, for juvenile detention. When you first walk up to it, everything all right? It just needs a paint job, right? Yes. But when you look underneath, what's going on? Got it? So if your sentence didn't kill you, what's going to get you? Fire escapes. One of the reasons why when you do a training with us and we do a downtown training after the fact, you'll never walk on a fire escape. Not because I don't want you to, because they still are safe for the one person kind of thing, but you'll be able to look out a window, you'll be able to open a door, and you'll be able to walk under one and immediately write 2 violations. The first one is, it must be such a house to get painted. So the painting one is easy. You look up and it's brown. I'm going to prove to you today that fire escapes rust from the inside out, not from the outside in. That's all. And in order for it to rust from the inside out, I'm going to tell you how a fire escape gets rusty, because everybody thinks, oh, it rusts from the outside and then it goes and attacks the connections. I'm going to tell you the weakest point of a fire escape when you first build it is its connections, and that's where rust starts, and then it works its way out and eats up paint surfacely. So every fire escape rots from the inside connection first, and then when it's done eating all that, it starts working out through the surfaces and then chips all the paint away. So by the time there's no paint on a fire escape, it's been 25 years. But what has had the lead on that? The connection. So if the connection has 25 years, the paint has only 10 to 15 years, because that's how long it took to eat that. And so if we prove that you look up at a rusty fire escape, you know you have a paint issue, that's your first violation. But you already know from this class that it has a structural issue, and that all those fire escape connections are the word suspect. That's it. To what degree? Who cares? That's not your job. That's during the evaluation. So they're all going to get swapped out anyway, because as soon as the connection is swapped out, do you need to test it, or you just swap the bolt? Clean the connection and swap the bolt. Now look at this, ready? Why you're not going to get on fire escapes anymore is for this reason. This takes, when we were an expert witness, a metallurgist taught us, 25 years to grow 1/4 inch of rust. 50 years to grow 1/2 inch of rust, and it does matter whether you're on the sunny side or the wet side or the cool side, but more or less, every 25 years you can grow 1/4 inch of rust in a connection left alone. So the bigger the rust spot, you can say, my God, how has anybody missed this from years before, including all the certificates I have sitting in the jacket? But here's the biggest issue for you, is this. I think that's it.
Down here, so I don't get hurt. And what I'll do now is I have my red, and I'll highlight.
Now, this is how we found the fire escape when we get there. That hammer test is not a load test. That hammer test is a safety test as to whether or not we should continue walking up this thing. And look at those threads ready up there to catch a fireman, to catch a tenant. So why you're not going to get on it, because you don't know whether or not it's safe for you to go up or down. But in the middle of the night when the fireman's fighting this, does he have a choice? No. That's why we were pulled into a court case in New York City, because a fireman fell through 3 treads. And I'll talk about that case in a little bit, and that's why I got to meet the metallurgist and get a lot of this information that I'm going to share with you today. That a fire escape rusts from the inside out. And when somebody goes and fixes it in the past 50 years, you know how they fix it? From the outside, and they never went in. Got it? So now you're sitting here where the cure was from the outside in, taking care of surface rust, and nobody ever took care. But after 50 to 75 years, who's falling through? Firemen, tenants. So don't get on them until this matter is 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We will make fire escapes safe again. Okay? So, let me show you the codes. Do you have 4 codes that now support you? The political will is there. Who else is going to help you besides fire and building? Because we're going to get you together. We're going to have a meeting to get fire department and building department together, because it's, again, red flag checklist items. They're not going to change anything they do. They're just going to bring more names to you, right? Who else we're going to bring in besides fire and building? Housing. department is gonna be at this meeting. Who else is gonna be at this meeting? Health department is gonna be at this meeting to do what? What do they bring? They're gonna add people to their staff? Are they gonna add anybody? They're gonna add a fire escape czar to their staff? Or are they just gonna add a checklist item to their checklists already and bring you red flagged people? Are they gonna stop any process of making money? Are they gonna stop housing from, collecting their HUD money? Right? But what do you get? You get a list of names that you pop into the computer, and the computer does what for you? Sends out a standard letter that says what? I need a certificate in 30 days. Some of them will get right on it. Some will not. Now, as you know, depending on what code you want to use, there's fines, fees, penalties that you can put. Because after you set that meter going, and after 30 days, you guys can share amongst yourselves, that there could be a penalty thing that for those slumlords that will not do anything for the next 6, 12, months or years. What happens when they try to sell that building and it has one of your meter tickers on there? What do you get? Right? And it was all automatic, because what triggered it? A computer. And then all of a sudden the guy did not respond in 30 days. Do you have time? I mean, you got all these things you got to do. What is the computer doing for you? It's going to send another letter in 60 days saying what? Got it? And you're going to have to visit that site soon, because what's going to happen? You need to know what's going on over there on some of these. Got it? So do I need to have somebody call in a complaint, or do you need to visually see the complaint and start the process from now on? Or is it automatic?
Once it gets started, it'll be automatic.
So when you go to all these sites, like I said, Oregon has a confidence test, Seattle has a confidence test, Reg 4 has a confidence test. Pick any one of them, because what's all their questions? What are they asking? Yes, no questions. Will you take an opinion letter ever again? An opinion affidavit that is clearly right in the middle of it. And by the way, let me show you what one of the Boston ones looks like, because they're still using the certificate. So, what's this certificate say right clearly in the middle? And this is what everybody sends into a Boston building. What's it clearly say? This is a state document. What's it say right in the middle? It says, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, the egress component is in conformity with the provisions of the Massachusetts Building Code and certified to their structural adequacy and safety. Right? Is this a assurance, or is this an opinion? This has been the standard nationwide. This is not a Boston problem. You saw a movie over there, a Boston show. You have the same problem. Seattle has the same problem. You guys are not alone. Everybody has ignored fire escapes. But what has been there, this is better than what you guys don't even have. This opinion letter is even better than what you had. We're telling you this opinion letter has flaws because it lets design professionals drive by and do what? Collect a check, look up, sign, give it to the guy, he gives it to you, you don't even question it, and where do you put it?
Right in the file.
Right in the file. When somebody gets hurt or dies, what do you do with it? You pull it out to say, what, let me see if I can revive this dead person with this piece of paper. And what doesn't happen?
Person stays dead.
Person stays dead, their lawyer collects what based on that document? Right? Saying, oh, and the fire officer says, hey, I relied on this guy. Well, the fact that you've relied on somebody for 50 years, there's been some gluttony going on, and everybody has taken advantage. Got it? So, confidence tests, they're all over. I'm telling you, the best place to go steal, the best confidence test to me right now is still in Seattle, because they have a lot more questions. Portland is good. Reg 4 is good, but to go steal an actual fire protection training total system for alarms and sprinklers, go steal Regulation 4 LA. Download, bring a hard drive and download the whole thing. But again, questions? Oh, this is one thing I like that it happened out of Tacoma. Tacoma happened to be in my class when I was doing the Seattle class. I love this. And we make it we don't make it mandatory, we recommend it highly. This is called a yearly inspection fee. Guess who does this? The owner of the building. The owner of the building, right, because they have a 5-year inspection by the design professional or others qualified. Guess who does this yearly? And there's only 3 questions for that owner, agent or other. So it's not the owner that has to do this. By the way, we're trying to start a campaign where from now on, all rent checks in the state of New Jersey can only be collected through the fire escape by the owner, because the people can tape their checks to the outside of the window, outside their fire escape. We're thinking of starting that as a law to see how far that's gonna go. But otherwise, here's the annual checklist, right? The Tacoma came up and made it not only a 5-year rule, they added this. This requires that all the owners, agents, or others of the building answer 3 questions. Bolt supports and are not damaged or rusted? From the facilities guy that works there, what's he gonna say? Yep. Paint is in good condition? What's he gonna say? Oh, yep, it's good. All moving parts, ladders, doors, and windows, and catwalks and stairs are operable and requiring no special knowledge. What's he gonna say? Yep, and he's gonna come down here and sign it for you, and there's no other problems detailed thing, there's your code, and then what happens, he hands it to you, right? A lot of times, he's gonna hand this to you pre-signed, because you do your yearly examination of some building, right, some commercial building, right? And you say, what's this? He goes, well, that's the paper you told me that I have to sign every year. I said, no, you sign it at the end. He goes, what do you mean at the end? Yeah, I need you to go to the roof, I need you to come over the fireman's ladder, come down the fire escape, open every door, work every window, show me that everything is, number 3. Come down the whole thing, and then at the very end, I want you to operate this cantilever or ladder, drop it to the ground, and then when you come down all this way, I'll be down here, then I want you to sign it in front of me, and I'll take it with me. What's that gonna do to the yearly inspection? What kind of responsibility is that? What, I didn't say I didn't say the owner had to do it. Owner, agent, or other, who can they hire to do that? They can hire anybody they want, there's professional people that will, but who has to use that fireman's ladder anyway? Fireman, don't you want it to be tested? That's not gonna rip off and kill that fireman like they did in Chicago, right? And you want them to come down the stairs and open the doors, because is there such thing as sticky doors and sticky windows? And you wanna go do that, or you want him to do that? Because he's claiming that, he's checked all those things, so that day he opens, and it's from the outside anyway, it's on the fire escape, you just go through, just opens doors. And then the last piece, which is the most important, so you're not in a Bridgeport situation, what's he do to the balanced ladder on cables, or the cantilever? What's he do? It's gotta drop 2 to 3 feet per second and hit the ground and stay down, so what's he do? He demonstrates. That's what Tacoma wants them to do, every year during the 5-year cycle. So that you're not checking these things every 5 years, because trucks hit them, lightning hits them, earthquakes come through, all kinds of things happen. So on a yearly basis, what's Tacoma requiring of the agents of the property? To do it, or have somebody do it? Otherwise, they can ask you guys to do it, you're down on the ground, say, no, you go upstairs and go over the ladder and check all my windows for me, and is that what you want to do? So I highly recommend that this be part of your confidence testing. It puts the requirement on the owner to yearly verify what? That his only second means of egress is what? To the best of his knowledge, functional. Doesn't have to be certifiable, because that's what every 5 years that happens. But he's just verifying that if his tenants have to use it, or anybody have to use it, that everything is functional on that fire escape. Got it? This is the Portland, and again, we changed the state code. We just happened to catch one of those 3-year cycles of, they were changing all kinds of things in the code. They didn't change it for fire escapes, but we snuck in fire escapes. And when you read it, this talks about everything, including tags, confidence tests, it's all there. So you want to change your state code, copy this, modify it ever so slightly, because it basically says that all fire escapes should be evaluated by a design professional. They should be repaired in full, so to be certified, otherwise you spot repaired, what gets thrown at them? Load test, right? So it's on that code. And then every 5 years, they have to repeat this every 5 years, because it's right in that code. They even tell you how to sandblast and work with all fire escapes. The one thing that, again, there's some flaws in it. You know what it costs to sandblast a fire escape off of all its lead paint? It's more than replacing the fire escape. So that's what I said, guys, you just have to encapsulate what you got for now, because that's, because right now people don't realize EPA and OSHA don't agree on this renovator's license crap. So it's a catch-22. They say you can show up with your little, white suit and your thing, but OSHA says, no, I need a blood draw. Got it? So we're gonna take a short break right now. Let me just push this thing to, this is the checklist from all the other cities. when we come back, we're gonna start talking about the tags, all right? Let's take a 10-15 minute break. I'll be up here if anybody wants to ask some questions. If anybody has any cards, so they want to get their certificate. If anybody wants to get one of the booklets, I need cards. Maybe a sticky.
If your parents are funny,
Oh, yeah. You can't laugh at things that you guys were doing. Yeah, but, you know, yeah, it's stuff that you guys didn't realize, you know about it, and so on. Sorry, I'm checking you. Thank you. Yeah, I did a class where, Eastock, what's his name, the black guy there, I forgot his name, the ancient voice.
try to get through there.
Oh, why?
Oh, my girls, it's all good.
I did a class, well, it was Eastock. And they, well, again, it's the building, the tower, you know, what, this paper, the bridge, really get it right. But I mean, but you know, we can do another class, because even though we've done classes, sometimes they don't get, you know, get acquired that day, but then it's so. We've had some activity, but not a lot of it. Well, what you want to do is you want to become a model city, and just basically coordinate, you know, your various departments, what you guys are doing, and you start this 3-5-year program. It's not like overnight, let's stop battle axing everybody, no. Quietly, what checklist can you immediately, already bring in next week? I can checklist item immediately, that's the smoke. It's great. Bring it in, building department, can you start asking for secrets? Sure, I can. Don't do anything different, just give me the, just flag them. Close the permits, do your thing, just let me do my job, and you bet, so it's nice and slow. And then by the time you're really ready to bring, permanent employees, all commercial buildings, 2 years from now, then you put it to the front. You know, or the guys that are there that you're asking this in the back end, you say, hey, by the way, we're working in our city, so from now on, already bring this, get this done first, you know, because we think we're not gonna, you know, we're not gonna do it on the back end, we're gonna start doing this on the thing, and then you guys gotta do it like with Portland, Oregon. We actually had beginning classes, but then we brought in and had the next set of classes actually in this room is engineers, architects, vendors, painters, are all in the room. And now they say, oh, but you know, I do this and I don't. And I'll show you one example. You're like, I'm not gonna accept that anymore. So you guys sort of set the stage and said, hey, we will no longer accept. And the beauty about it is I'm not an engineer. If you're gonna have engineers, really, I'm just getting your hair on. Yeah, but you know, structurally, blah, 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 they'll nail me to the wall with some, you know, credentials that I don't have. I'm like, been at this for 40 years, you? You know, I may not have, but I have a master's degree in reverse stupidity of how this, what does and does not work. You theorize, I'm telling you what is actually happening out there. But I don't want to go toe-to-toe with the guys, but it's nice to bring them in because you invite everybody that's ever put a certificate in your place. You know what I'm saying? And you say, hey, it would be in your best interest to attend, otherwise you will get a videotape of it anyway, because the standards have changed. Oh, 35 years, best college in the nation. But you know, but you can say,
I don't know if that thing is okay. You know,
4 codes that tell me I'm the new, depending on the structure, condition, the low test may be ordered.
But the first thing he handed me when I was
Hey,
there,
I don't want to look at it. I can't give you one. Some guy just gave me one of these. I was at a class and gave me one of these. Oh, low tech. Keep pushing me, that stays on the table. Otherwise, let me tell you the alternative. Same thing.
State, Somerville.
We're gonna get the house. Yeah, with a plate. I'm gonna teach you guys how fire escape is.
If we get something modified like this.
I mean, there's no question as to what it is, what it isn't.
2014.
I'll cover it all. But the key here is really, the key here is model cities.
You know, it's like
40, 50 people represented here, I need 5. I need 5 model cities. And all you do is basically step one is, okay, I need a meeting with you,
Okay.
building department,
Or I know it's
housing,
conditional.
health, and anybody else they think.
And this, like anything else, will pass the cost to the association.
Well, the IFC says you do have it anyway. IFC 2012 is fire fishing. So even though you haven't adopted yet, it's coming to you anyway from 2012. You guys could be 3 years, 7 years, 15 years, it all depends on your state. I think you guys are from 2009 now.
Every day do weekends for me.
Well, in Boston, they ask $100 every time you issue a certificate. So there's a filing fee of $100 per building, so there's some money. But I think what you guys are gonna find in the beginning while you're implementing this, is just fines and fees for the people who won't comply. You know, you basically, they're sitting there running, the taxi meters running on those, and you're not chasing them there. You'll get them. You're already underfunded and understaffed on this side of things, and you're just holding, but this thing's a computer-generated thing. And then one day, somebody comes in, hey, we're selling the building, and we need you guys to remove that violation. Let's do
Same
it.
thing. Their second means of egress out of that
We
store.
currently own fines and fees from 4.5 years ago, $11,387.
The back drops.
Like
So
what?
when you go in at street level.
Send
If you keep on
countless
walking,
letters, you guys should come to court, you never did. So yeah, sell the
open
building.
up that exit, it's a fire escape there because the level in the back is not.
Then you also have the other way, the low lady.
Like down here.
Well, he sent you letters, and, you know, right now, you have fines and fees, $11,309. I want to, I'm aware of that. I want to. You know what, at the discretion of the fire marshal, they can waive all fees.
What was that, oh, the ESP
So,
program?
that's the thing, so if you guys want to be a model city, let's help.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Because we already started, so, are you East Orange or? Yeah, I don't understand that, the oranges.
Well, it's only as good as,
Like each other.
as you update.
Fence dispute. Yeah, that's. Gotcha. Right, but each has their own government, right?
Well, what we do, I mean, on ESP, if you have an ESP software, if they can get, yeah, I know it's not, but
So, well, just like I said.
I know it's
we'll have a
similar
class
to
with you
that.
guys.
And
And then
John
you guys
showed me
basically
at one
get the other
time,
ones,
like last year.
we're doing a regional thing here.
But even
Let's
the
get it
ESP
on,
software,
and bring,
if they can,
you know,
you
to the
can
class,
get,
your building inspector, your housing, your
what do you
health.
call it to that, where you don't,
You're gonna have your guys.
you're not able to
Otherwise,
use
you want the
everything
model.
or change anything, but you can see, like, okay, this building has a fire escape, you know, does the building have this, you know, whatever, it has this, elevator, shut-offs, this, that, you know. It has a lot of information, so it's- when you do the inspection, you write all that stuff down, you know.
From Boston though.
And,
But hey, but we, again, as long as you have a long-term mentality, it's not gonna happen tomorrow.
I know, now it's, oh, he was whacking out.
No, we just sort of backdoor it.
They're there this morning.
Make everything a checklist item. You guys aren't gonna change any of your activities. And each checklist items have one more thing for it to do.
Yeah, he's got a ton of stuff. I guess that they're now,
They don't generate names and addresses, names and addresses. It sends out the standard day compliance. It'll send out a standard 60, 90 day, you have to comply, what's going on, you know, the next step, you know, is a court-generated computer document. See in court, they will go over that and say, okay, the meter's been running since the 30-day letter anyway. So now, just let it run. I mean, you're gonna go and kind of run across some of these buildings anyway, but then you know, you'll start coming up with other techniques. We've done everything we nice to you. Now you're not. You know what I'm saying? So you can walk into any building. And the key is scaffolding. So you can walk into any building, have a very bad fire escape situation, and still not close it down. So listen, I'm gonna order scaffolding here at the building. So I'm gonna order scaffolding into your building, mothball this fire escape, and then, you know, take as long as you want, because it's $1,000 a month now for the scaffolding that you have back in this residential building. And now I'm satisfied that my people in the office can get in and out of this thing. But mothball the fire escape, by the way, you know, put signage on the fire escape for my men, put, you know, block all the doors and windows feeding this fire escape from the inside. Give them a little bit of a sunshine window on the very top, but make sure nobody gets on this fire escape. Take as long as you want to fix it. Just leave the scaffolding.
Now, how much does the,
Yeah.
how much does the,
Low test can run anywhere, I'll cover that in class, but it'll run anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 per floor. Per floor. If you have a 4-story building, it could be $8,000 to $12,000. Depends where it is, it could be in the front, it could be in the back. I'm gonna show you I'm gonna show you 7 men dragging 50-pound bags along. You're gonna start laughing, say, it's not cheap. And by the way, low test by no paint, by no boards. It's a pay me the heavy lifting today. That's why we're not, it's not a low test class. Well, we can do it, so it's not like, oh, you can't do it. No, just we'll take your money. Right, so when you do if they spot repair and load test it, you add those two numbers together, a lot of times it's more, and exceeds the just refurbishing or replace it sometimes.
There's been a lot of discussion.
Yeah, a typical 5-story could run you, you know, 25 grand. You know what I'm saying? Replacing it would be 75 grand. It's not like the old days. Oh, man, I have this thing put up for 11 grand.
Remember you came to
50 years ago. Now it's, you know, the big, with plans, with engineers, with architects, with roof plans.
We didn't pursue it, we didn't want it.
It's always more
We
expensive.
don't want anyone else coming in.
Repair paint has been the standard,
Doing,
95 of
you know,
everything I
doing
touch.
like during our fires, like someone coming in and telling you,
It was built that solid, you know.
how do you feel about
Take the
that?
bolts out, take the rust out, so it won't shut it, pocket paint it.
And the other thing too, like they have a fire commission, we know, and they do a lot of stuff.
Well, just start the process. You start the process. If you like, just start the process. They just start the process. Write the arches and everybody.
They want to be the ones that gobble us up and want us to walk.
The model city is what.
That's what it's just like, it's a big business. You got 10 gyms, right? And all of a sudden, some guy opens up this new gym, cancels the now, you know, everybody's going there, and your attendance is going down. So what do you do? You let the guy go up, and you give him what percent you got for it, you know, you can't refuse. And that's the same thing they're trying to do, you know, to us.
The money's gonna come.
In a way, I don't fully. I always I look at all the angles, I look at all the angles and see what they want to do. What are they putting on the paper? Because that would lead to, you know, what would it lead to? Taking over arms? Where the taxes go? That's the whole problem.
They will not get Scott.
Either you form, either come down and form a county. Everybody stays where they're at. Because where they're at now, I mean, they did it in Montclair. They did it in Montclair. You know, they let go of Glen Ridge Park years ago. Okay? You have the buildings all over, you have these men all over. And, you know, by incident command, by incident command wasn't the first one on the scene, you know, multiple jurisdictions, there's still a group of men that are on the run the fire. They're just in right now, we're just in a bad place because of the economy. What are they gonna do with it? What are they gonna decide? Figure out everybody's stuff. You got three stars, you got South Orange, you got West Orange. Let's say if you put all the oranges together. West Orange make all of them make more money.
That's why this,
Right. So that means everybody's got to be even. So it's a big gigantic. It's just the same thing that happened in North Iowa. All those little cities, and to everybody who, everybody retired, whatever. There's still, it's still a seesaw. It's still a seesaw. I mean, these stars, they bought a ladder. They didn't buy a new one, they bought it. No, they bought a used one. They put top on it. Right. The new old one that they just bought, that I saw at the fire like 3 weeks ago, the damn thing couldn't work. Yeah, it was used for Kentucky, whatever, Tennessee, whatever.
The newest one, brand new. But that was.
Yeah, well, the one that came to the fire in South Harrison, the used ladder is the one that they had problems with. When they put it up, it wouldn't stay still. It was just going back and forth for some. And the guy that was up there on the floor saying that everybody's scratching. This piece of crap doesn't work. I said often, you know what's wrong? It's shaking. Hey, you bought a 95. Do you know that the remember when the guy was here fixing the other day, putting in the wire, he found that the electrical exhaust was broken. Now, what they did was they took a fire retardant wrapper and wrapped it, and then put a band, a little band around it, a band, an adjustment band, right? The expansion band, and they just screwed it on. So that guy, he looked at it, and he said, "Dude, you got a big problem here. You got a hole in here that's letting where the exhaust into the compartment." So he unwrapped it because he took a picture of it. He said, this little section is only 13 inches, or 17 just for that piece. So I'm saying to myself, we bought something without anybody going physically there, lifting it up, looking at the motor. Now you got to spend another $7,500. You spend $1,500. Now you spend No, but you bring him the tank. You bring him the tank. Pay the guy. The city should have. You see, this is where that's the decision. That's the decision that goes back. That's the decision that's the chief, not the deputy, the chief, the business agent, the director. Right, the director. I'm just saying, this is how I would look at it. If there was a chief, if you don't know anything, this is the guy that you trust because he's going to hang. He goes and he looks at it, he checks the whole thing out. Well, since the bucket, now the bucket. Oh, it did go through? We talked to her the whole time here. Do you want to do that? You know, I send you to do things like a child. I'll tell you, cousin.
Kiss his cousin?
I'll kill you.
No, kill you.
But that... It's like under contract.
Bristol's right outside, like you and everything.
So for our application, he's getting.
So what do we say?
We don't sign for our application.
Oh, for our
He's generating a list.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh, you're sitting my son after college.
So, I mean, yeah, that's the problem. I mean,
We don't have it. People are like,
They love it because they
shame of it all is that they're complaining like the winter. They're using the weather to buy it. Like, for instance, all the stuff at the building. I mean, you know, I mean, public works. They're using the weather. Wait a minute. We had this bad weather 12 years ago, 16 years ago. And most of you, no disrespect, most of you were on this council. And nothing was done. Nothing was done. Those trucks, don't you see those trucks? You say you live in the city, you don't see the truck is all banged up. Well, that's because the guys don't take care of it. When the guys don't take care of it, that means the guys that you put in management don't give a shit. But you can't say that. That's what you want to say. You know, how come that truck looks the way it does? How did it get in an accident? Are there any, like we did, any incident? Where is it? I want to see it. I want to see what happened. What was done about it? There should be a reason why most of those trucks look the way they do.
My husband has.
They don't take the responsibility. So where's it go? Same shit. That's what you would say, right? If you're shitty.
It's an antique.
You don't want to bench press rip that. So I mean, that's what you can, you know.
Do I use it? I use it for
Good
grades.
ideas, but
Yeah, I do grades and
look at that. Do me a favor.
I do friends parties.
Look where you live now.
And then I show them
And
all
then
the stuff on it.
drive through when you drive through Orange and see what's missing. I can give you a list, just like he can give you a list about fire, you know, fire stuff. I can give you a list. They haven't done anything in 2 years. They haven't done a thing. Oh wow, we got a new park. Yeah, but that's Green Acres. Orange didn't do anything. We brought Green Acres there, but that was all federally funded money. That's from everybody's taxes.
You must understand, so that gal there, she works for a uniform company. So that's why they always, she's the uniform Nazi. Like, it will be perfect.
Oh, the woman who measured the steps in the firehouse? She was the one who picked up the steps in the firehouse. The guy came within a few weeks, put they put wooden shims underneath the stairs, and then the stairs were okay. Wait a minute, that's what you like what he's talking about right now.
The guy came and
That's it.
I think the mono thing is much more laughable. Don't you think so?
We went somewhere and I'm like, in the city, and they're like, all right, we're getting ready to start up again, guys. And I'm like, oh, I'm not married, but I'm down on the house.
I mean,
That's the only thing that made you out of
they've been talking about for years.
I took my dad to put shoes on. Rosie would know better. Rosie would know where this one's a politician. She would know. This one was a politician. $5,000.
You guys gonna stay?
Yes.
Starting right now. All right, guys, let's get back in here. Everybody get the re-waters, get the re-things. While I'm waiting for everybody to fill it back in, let's talk about the hysterical committees at all your, the historical committees at all your places. That was one of my questions that just came up quickly. So here's what the rule of law is. Every building in the United States, every barn, every box, everything needs 2 means of egress. So if all of a sudden you got this beautiful mansion and it needs, actually let's start with the code. If I dig a hole in the ground, I put up a brand new building, can I ever put up a fire escape on it? On new construction, any fire escapes allowed? Nope, ever. No new fire escapes can ever be built on new construction. So you dig a hole in the ground, where must the staircases be? Inside, got it? On new construction. Everybody clear on that? So the rule of law is correct. When somebody says you can't build fire escapes anymore, that's a correct statement. It's half a correct statement. It's only half a correct statement. You cannot build any new fire escapes on new construction. Does anybody still have any existing buildings in their land? So if you have pre-existing buildings, guess what you can build on them until the day they knock it down and put up a brand new building in that spot. A fire escape is the answer every time. So once they've gutted the building on the inside and they've exhausted all means of putting 2 staircases in on the inside of that building, guess what the answer is allowed by code, and you will be taken to a court and you will lose. What can I put on that mansion, that barn, that factory, that water tower? Guess what I can put on it? A fire escape. You will, if you fight that, you will lose. Got it? So, when you have this beautiful mansion that's covered in the historical district and it's got a huge central staircase and they're turning it into 4 condos because nobody wants to live in that money pit anymore, right? But they somehow are going to sell it for $1.2 million each side, and they don't satisfy your egress plan. You need fire escapes on the outside to satisfy, so that they can get and meet the code, and not with little dinky ladders that they had there from Home Depot that they stuck on the windows. What must they put there? An approved means of egress, which might mean you might have to convert a window to a door. It's your choice. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have to put in a staircase to the ground, and then the historical people show up with pitchforks and hay and rope, and they tell you, this building is historical, you can't change it in any way. Except for, what do you pull out of your pocket? You can't load test nothing that's been there. What are you talking about? What's the other card you're going to have today? It's a life safety concern. Can they ever override life safety?
No. Can't put a price on life.
Right? So, fire department, if it's a life safety concern, what can they do to a historical building that needs a fire, like a sprinkler pipe going in there that needs whatever is life safety? Can they tell you, no, it changes the look of the exterior of my building? Can they do that?
No.
No. So you need a second means of egress. I will stick it on that window, which I may turn into a door, and you'll go back to your little holes that you guys crawl from, and I appreciate what you've done for the historical nature, but you guys are sometimes insane. You're always spending other people's money. Because none of these people have money, money usually in houses. They're usually people who don't have historical houses telling you that you need, windows with the little things, and the color's got to be a brown from 1902, and don't touch the stone in the front, and they're just insane people. I think, if anybody saw the news piece, there's some couple out there somewhere in a historical, and they were building this house, and then the neighbors all came up with pitchforks, and they stopped. They got it 3/4 of the way through, building this house in a historical, and they say, oh, we wanted this is changing the flavor. So they stopped, so that, I was in court, because they, 3/4 of the way through this construction of this modern house in the historical area, and the guy bought the land, got a building permit, they say, oh, stop, we don't like the way it's starting to look. And we're talking about a lot of people, it's on Dateline or something like that. So it can get, so hysterical people, can they come in and stop you from adding a fire escape to the building to meet the means of egress to satisfy your life safety concerns? So that's it. So you have 2 cards in your pocket. Which one? What's this one on your right side? That's the load test one. You throw that at who? Anybody with a fire escape? But this one which you rarely pull out, but it sometimes has to be pulled out. What's this one? Life safety. You can't stop me from basically making people safe in your beautiful mansion that you're selling each condo for $1.2 million a piece. I need a fire escape on the end because that's the only solution. I will not allow just a dinky ladder sticking out of the window like there is there. That's pre-existing, non-conforming, and when I checked the records, was there ever a building permit for that ladder from Home Depot that they screwed to the wall? Was there? So that means it was never permitted, meaning that you actually don't have a fire escape. So I can order what? A fully compliant, not 24-inch fire escape, I want a 36. Not a window, what do I want? A door, 8 and 8 rise and run, or 7-Eleven? 7-Eleven going down to the ground. Oh, by the way, because this might be considered an egress, what do I want over it? A cover. That's gonna look pretty on your mansion. Or, why don't we just put in a traditional fire escape since it's only egressing 1 apartment? And how many square feet? 800 square feet for $1.2 million? Okay, there's gonna be 1.2 people, or 2.1 people in here. I'll allow it 24-inch wide, 8 and 8 rise and run, coming out of a window. I'll give you that. You guys will negotiate back and forth. Got it?
Yep.
Anybody disagree with me? Like I said, a lot of stuff you already knew. Somebody just had to remind you that you knew it. Tags. Seattle does this. Every building in Seattle, Portland, Oregon must have a tag. Every elevator in your city have a tag? You sure?
Supposedly it's available on.
It's available at the manager's office 8 states away, right? Otherwise, it used to be right there. Because if you got in that elevator, because I pay rent in that elevator, and I got in there, and the tag that was supposed to be there says that it's 2 years out, what do I do with my rent check? You don't pay, right? So I ain't paying, so what happened? What did they do with that little thing that was pissing off a lot of the tenants? They took it out to that. So if this is on your fire escape, if I have a tag on my fire escape, who can watch to make sure it's up to date?
Everybody.
Tenant, the building inspector, because what's it say right on the date? When's the next due date? You know, it says when's the next inspection date. So anybody doing any kind, health inspector, building inspector, housing inspector, architect, engineer, tenant, when they look at their fire escape, what do they say? It's out of date. If it has a yellow and I'm paying rent, it's been 2 months that I've seen a yellow sticker outside my beautiful fire escape that my baby's sleeping. What do I do with my rent check? If I have a red one outside my beautiful $2,000 condo, I fixed my piece only, buy a parachute. So you guys understand? These things cause problems. So every fire escape in Seattle must have a tag. 7 to 10 feet from the ground, clearly visible. Got it? Our game plan, if you are one of the 5 model cities, we make your firefighters, your inspectors in fire prevention, but mainly fire prevention, and do any and all examinations. Every time you see a fire escape, you'll always stick a tag on it. You will never stick a white one. Who puts the white ones up? Design professionals and others acceptable to the building official, right? Which ones do you carry that you photocopy in your office and you laminate in your office? Which ones do you carry? Yellows and reds. So you're inspecting this building, you see this fire escape, what do you go there and put on with a zip tie? A yellow or a red? What's the thing? Why do you put on a yellow? Because it doesn't have a tag. The only tag you can put on is a yellow that says it's suspect. You see a dangling tread, what do you put on it? And you call who? Call a building official. Because in LA, with my Reg 4 license, if I get there and I have a life safety concern, my license says I can't leave. I have to call the closest fire station, call the fire captain and say, hey, I'm late for my next appointment. Can you come down here? There's a fire escape tread dangling there. Then all of a sudden I'm waiting there now. Woo! And these guys come all the way down and they take that thing over from me. That's what LA makes me do. I have to wait there where because there's a dangling tread. And you know what I tell the fire captain? all right, guys, this is the owner of the building, can I leave now? Yeah, you can leave now, hey, just leave. And the fire, because it's red. So if you're gonna put up a red, obviously you're gonna do other things to the building because you've identified a red. You're not examining it, you're not doing anything. You just, if you put a yellow up, you're just identifying another fire escape in your area. So, who can also go out and look and start tagging yellows all over your city? Firefighters, because you guys do, fire hydrant inspections, you guys do all kinds of things, right? So as you walking down and do pre-plans, what can all your rookies be doing? Just put a tag on it. If you see it dangling, there's two lists you give me at the end of a walk down Main Street. And you gotta walk down Main Street and walk behind Main Street, because where's the fire escapes? They're in the back, they're on the side, they're on top of things. All you need, and where do you put this? Does it have to be tagged to the fire escape? Or can it be tagged to a fence post, to a chain link fence that's locked up? Where can you put these? Anywhere near it, because what does the thing read when the owner comes and gets it? If you read, what's it say? What's the first thing it says on the tag? Everybody look at the tag. That one of your rookies walking down the back alley of something, he walked down there and he saw that. What's the first thing it says for you to do?
Removal of this tag will avoid inspection.
Yeah, that's one thing, but let's, let me get my, oh, it's on this page, towards the back, guys. The first thing it says on the yellow tag, it says, contact the fire official. Right? The second thing is it says, have fire escape inspected. What's the third thing it says? So they're gonna call you and say, hey, somebody left this tag on my chain link fence because they couldn't get into my yard, but they could see my fire escape. And what do you mean? I'm contacting you. I said, okay, well, what do you want? I know, read number 2. Have fire escape inspected. It's already there, what do you need to do? If you don't know what that is, I'll send you a nice letter that says you got 30 days to comply, or is my verbal warning enough for you? And then it's, okay, I'll do that. What's the next thing? Oh, then read number 3. Who is this person calling me? Anyway, I'm very busy. I never answer my phone. Somehow my gatekeeper gave me your, connected me to you. You guys have great gatekeepers. Want to hear a great story? You know how we get to you guys? Through your gatekeeper. You know how? We fax her. Because you guys don't answer your phones. You don't answer your emails. So we fax your gatekeeper and say, hey, we'd like to talk to the building official. And what's the gatekeeper do for you? Go like this. And we always gotta go, hey, I got this fax. What do you want? I need you. You guys are so difficult to get in touch. You guys are bombarded with 9 million emails which you don't answer. And you guys are, constantly phone calls. The gatekeeper's like, oh, yeah, he's with a customer. Yeah, you're there drinking your coffee. You're like, yeah, he's with a customer. Can he call you back? Yeah.
He's with Mr. Coffee.
Dude, run. So it's just funny, but it's hard. But we found that our dinosaur attack, we have to actually go back to old school and actually fax you guys a request to talk to you, and it actually works. We get a lot more. So your gatekeeper's doing a great job for all the other people that don't know that the fax now is the only way to sort of ring your bell and get you guys going. So it already tells them, so you guys need to have a system of identifying. So now, what is this program? Are we gonna start certifying fire escapes, or are we having an identification program started at all your cities? So Boston, 30 years ago, identified every fire escape. They actually have a number. They said there's 8,500 fire escapes. So what did they do when they had lots of money? They had a group of people go out and do what? Walk the streets and find every single one. So is that what we're gonna do, go find every single one? Or during your day-to-day activities for all the different inspectors and everybody out there, just find where they are? So it's gonna take 3 to 5 years to find these things, but every time you find one, what color do you put on it if it looks half decent?
No.
What do you put on it if you got dangling or smashed steel? So when you go to the mayor and say, we wanna start this program, are you starting a fire escape certification program? Or are you starting a fire escape awareness program where you're just identifying them, because your firefighters, when they get there in the middle of the night, they need to know what color it is. And what's the only color that should be there?
White.
But when they get there, and there's a yellow or a red, do they have justification not to jump on it and save the babies and the women and the children? Right? So this is an identification program, and that's what Seattle started doing. They just made it mandatory, and they put out a letter with the tax records, and that's what Lowell did. They put out a tax record letter that said, hey, aside from collecting your taxes, we want to make you aware that we're going after fire escapes now, and you're supposed to, by law, certify this every 5 years. Can you at least just certify? So we used Lowell, the city of Lowell, which is a model city, use that tax bill to stick in one of the, and I think I have an example either in your thing or on here of the Lowell tax letter. It's simple, hi, give us your taxes, and by the way, in the next 5 years, we're gonna be playing, you know, we're gonna be getting all fire escapes up to speed. So, even the treasury can be part of your announcement, okay? I showed you what the preliminary department of procedures and guidelines, engineers read this, repair guys read this, painting guys read that. So when they come, I don't know what to do, what do you say? Read. This is what an actual tag looks like in Seattle, okay? They want it to be 19 inches wide, 11 inches tall, on 1/8 vinyl, printed at Staples only kind of thing. So if you want to go that route, you can. This is what it looks like. As you can see, we took the same information, we shrunk it down to 8.5 by 11. We made it so that you can print a lot of these and laminate them in your own place. But otherwise, yes, they can be permanently, and some of you guys even have machines that for pumps and stuff, that are engravers, that engrave on red and whites and stuff. So if I have to buy my white tags from you guys, I know you're always looking for an income producing activity, but you can actually make these tags. The final yellow tag, I mean, the final white tags are tags that we have to buy from you because you guys own that $5,000 engraver. And that's a permanent, you know, sign that doesn't weather in the thing, because these other things do weather. Okay, this is what it looks like 5 to 10 feet off the ground. This is an actual Seattle tag. Permanently affixed to the fire escape. Any firemen see that in the dark?
Yeah.
Running up a smoky alleyway? Okay? So it'll have who did the job, it'll have who fixed the job, it'll have licenses, it'll have dates that it was fixed, it'll have dates that it needs to be re-inspected. So, and that's all 5 to 10 feet from the ground. It'll have codes on it, it'll have, you know, disclaimers and such. Oh, you guys.
Never burn bill.
Don't tell me.
Wow.
Are you guys secretly hiding your own dark skeletons? Yeah, how many of these fire escapes that I've examined on your burned buildings that are ready to kill your, because I know you guys train them on everything, including how to die on a fire escape. When I got to this building, this is in Boston area, I think Waltham or Watertown, and I hammer tested, I shut it down that day. And you have an interior one that's made of iron, because you throw hay and all kinds of crap on there and you hose it down consistently. So you don't think water and hay and debris and crap is gonna make those interior stairs and exterior stairs rot, do they? When was the last time you brought in your structural engineers? I'm sure you have a few to, you know, investigate your towers. So when I hammer tested this thing, what did I get? That thing jumps one too many. Sorry. So this is the hammer test that I did right there. And all the treads fell. This is the interior stair. You guys see any rust? No, I know, yeah, because the smoke blinded.
Just the smoke demarcations is fine.
So we shut down that whole tower. It was shut down for a year. Guess what they didn't have? Money to fix it, which is everybody's problem. So in here, you've seen how much rust is on the gusset, all the treads that are falling, how big the rust really is. This is a nursing home for World War II veterans. The war didn't kill you.
We will.
Got it? What else happens on fire escapes? Trash trucks, moving trucks, parking, smash. This right here is the city hall. Well, that's the mayor's office. So he should be tested. I mean, you guys should ring a bell. That would have some quick, you know, changes in the political. What we have here is a fire escape that I normally bring to class, and what it is I was at a school Catholic school that basically rented out their Catholic school now to a French group that does kindergarten through 8th grade. And I got called to come and get this thing out, and I only had a small window between December during the Christmas break. And this fire escape, it was the maintenance guy that said, you gotta change this, it's gonna kill one of our teachers, because out of the second floor, straight down shot, you know, for recess, all the little kids use this every day to go in and out for recess. All this thing was like 4 feet wide. What I did is I took it and I saved, which took more time to save it than, so to freeze it so it wouldn't fall apart, I cut the piece that went into the ground, and then I cut a piece of the top like a cake, enough so I can use it, and I actually would wheel in Rusty here. And, you know, I would show it to you, so, and I kept everything in its original state. To show you that a quarter, half-inch of rust in schools. Now, the maintenance guy brought me to fix this and replace it. Not even fix it, replace it. So I kept it so I can use it for showing. And I actually cut it in half and I shrunk it, and then I did everything wrong to it. I not only showed you what the right repair was to it, I showed you all the wrong ways, welding rust in position and stuff. But the beauty about this is that the maintenance guy made me change this. Every year they had a fire inspection, every year they had a building inspection, every year they had insurance inspection, and nobody picked this up. So, as you can see where it rotted in the ground, you can see all the rust, you can see improper repairs. So we did everything to it to show you what is happening out there, and how everybody will just come in and weld everything into position. So we sort of, we took that and we welded it to show you, we know how to do it wrong. The rust is still in there, so this is what everybody's doing out there. But this kind of activity in your city just killed 2 firemen up in Boston. Got it? So that's so we shrunk it, and it's actually a 2-foot piece that we wheel around. Still pretty heavy. Oh, enough lead paint for all the kids? Any paint left on it? So all the little kids, where do they go? What do they do with their hands? When they go down to the playground? And then what do they do with their hands, the little kids? Rub this up, rub their eyes. They gotta get their daily, their daily lead intake. And that's what it looked like before. What a great playground. Everything you can imagine for a kid that's paying, the parents, private school. What were they coming down from that door? And that's what we replaced it with. And it went, it came out the same door, but now we went off to the side and not coming down, because this was a great fort underneath here, where you could hide and swing and do what with your hands? Get more of your daily, lead paint intake. Look at it. Sweet tasting. Remember the guys, you get arrested, you're 17, step out, get killed. The one reason why from now on you will do all inspections from the ground and look up is why? So a rusty fire escape tread will do what? You guys carry around a 3-pound hammer to do this, to do everything, to do a safety inspection.
Wow, what far have you had? You guys are a funny crowd. But let's just do this one here to show you that since you guys don't carry a 3-pound hammer, we do. Every time we walk up a 5-story, we ping. Ping means what? Even though it has rust in it. Solid still, but it's still fast. Pong means what? She's gonna drop me, or a fireman in the night going down the stairs, or a fireman in the night going up the stairs, or a tenant in the night going down, up and down. Now, when the fireman goes up and he steps through it, what happens to his leg and his knee? Break it, bend it. If a fireman going down a set of stairs drops his leg through the thing, and he breaks his knee the opposite way, the wrong way, what is that? Career ending? So, since you don't have 3-pound hammers, I hope my battery's starting to go dead on this thing. There you go. But that was the guy, basically, ping in the hammer and the things just fall. So, you know what I'm saying? So you don't carry hammers, we do, but that is not the load test. That is just a simple safety test so we can walk. This right here, Where is this now?
Record.
Who know that?
Says
Ah, that's Rutgers. It's actually an actual building. They're using this still. Yeah. No, the only thing that will make this even worse, this has to be in a fraternity, and it has to be split down the middle, that there's men and ladies. It's a fraternity and a sorority, and this is the escape route, you know, for the, you know, the kids who are semi.
Get money on the side.
Got it? That's the only fire escape slide pole I've ever seen in my life, and I've inspected all over the country. Has anybody ever seen a slidescape? You know what a slidescape is, right? You know the ones that
Mm-hmm.
slide? You know where one is in your city? I mean, in your state? Nobody knows? Oh, no firehouses, no?
In the parks.
Elizabeth City has a 12-story slidescape on one of their buildings. Road trip. I got a document with this. I'll show you. We'll show you the silliness, guys. So I'll show it to you. So I hate to keep anybody in suspenders, but you know what I'm saying. So listen, you guys remember that shot of that little girl there? You know, who trains little kids to, you know, jump from a ladder 12 feet up, right? This is the Bridgeport shot, remember? Yeah. So, and they arrived, 50 people they had to remove from fire escapes first. So they had to rescue first, fight second, and thank God it only burned one apartment completely in the building, and then they threw everybody back in the building. Got it?
But right now, firefighters are taking down the ladders and rolling up the hoses.
Right.
Earlier in the night, when they pulled up, there were flames coming out of the side of the building. Firefighters say it was one of the scarier moments, because when you pull up to a building and you see children and mothers hanging off the side of the fire escape, smoke swirling around them, that's scary, scary stuff. They got up there, they got the ladders up.
Ladders up, remember those ladders?
The fire escape, there was 3 or 4 people hanging off the fire escape, they couldn't get off. They were just on the fire escapes. I had people hanging in their fire escapes at the rear of the building, and on this side of the building, we had a bunch of people on that fire escape.
About
A
50
bunch of
were
people,
just-
that's great. I had a bunch of people. Guys, the unknown, how do we deal with the unknown in the building? Let sleeping dogs lie and do what? You can verify it or duplicate, and what's that do to it? Eliminates the need for you to verify this part, because you don't want to open this up. There's another building we did in New York. As soon as they took out all the brick, what happened? What do we see? Got it? So a lot of these you want to duplicate out, unless you can verify, or load test. And what's a passing load test look like? What's a failing load test look like? All that was there is where now? This is what a hole looks like to verify a connection. This is in California, 10-story building. I had to verify the connections at the wall. So I had to drill how many 3/4 holes in order to get my little snake in there. And this is what it looks like when you look in, and I'm trying to see the steel if it's not all rotting. And why can't I just take that 3/4 drill and about 6 inches away to the right of that connection, put a same hole, put a through bolt, put a plate on the inside, bolt on the outside, angle clip coming back and connect back to this angle. I'm now at 200% of the required connection. What's the primary? The new one. What's the secondary? This one. Do you want me to verify it? No. Leave it alone. Got it? So I want to put a hole over here somewhere, and then mechanically bolt fasten it back to the original. Or can I weld it with lead on it? Bolt it, right?
Bolted.
This is what it looks like on the inside, guys. See me looking over there? That's my eyeball over there. What can I tell? What can I see? This is fire escape colonoscopy. What do you see? See a lot of crap. Do I have to do this? No. Just use the same hole, smaller, and put a plate on the thing. Or put legs to the ground if you want to eliminate the through bolt procedure. Okay? See? Hey, what? My last exam, or is this fire escape? Okay, fire escape. And on the inside, see, a lot of times it's it's verifiable on the inside. So every now and then you don't have to put in new plates. You can verify the inside one through a masonry wall or through even a a wood structure, I can put a small hole over here, put in my snake and do what to the plate that's inside? Verify it, photograph it, and show you what. And then the sheetrock guy does what? Quickly patches it up. So you don't have to put in huge holes in the inside. This is a load test going on. Before, during, and after. You get 1,000 pounds, you have to take 40% of that, which is 400 pounds. Measurements before, during, and after for a certain period of time. Then if nothing creaks or bends or shifts more than 3/16 of an inch, you can then apply the remaining 600 pounds and do what? Take measurements before, during, and after for how long? Sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes half, sometimes 1 hour. For each platform, each staircase. How much does this cost? And by the way, there's all kinds of things you're supposed to have for safety and harnesses and this and that and tie-offs and this and that and the other thing. And cherry pickers. What if you can't get cherry pickers? How are you going to put those bags on there? So you have to be part of the weight system as you're dropping bags on there. So is it a proven, successful, safe system for the guys who have to do this, that they're going to make all this money in the world load testing? Or is it, dancing on a high wire? So is this a load test class? Do I want to make money on load testing? It's crazy, it's insane, but I'll show you. Oh, by the way, I needed to do poundage, so this was one of those cabling systems, so you can either bring weight onto it, water, sandbags, or you can put the weight on the ground, row cables through it, and do what? Exert a force by pulling a cable using a load cell, and you use a laptop, and you use the digital thing, and you exceed it. So we took this truck and we put it underneath and we ran the thing, we grabbed its tail and we lifted it in the air and did what?
Change the tires.
Change the tires there. There's always a comedian in the car. That's good. So this is us lifting, and this is us, on the other side. So he's underneath the fire escape, but we're testing the 10th floor, if anybody's wondering why he doesn't have a thing on his head. But see, watch and that's all it is. You basically you can lift weight off the ground if cabling allows you. So there's many ways to load test, got it? Oh, this is a great one. This is us purposely creating a load test. I've been at this for almost 40 years, right? You know how many load tests I've ever done in Massachusetts? Jersey, New York? None. Right? Because you guys never order one, right? Till now, my God, you guys got this new car, you guys are gonna go crazy with your power. But what happens is, a load test, I was doing a Harvard University project in an inaccessible area, and it was a 2.5-story building, and I said, please, Harvard, I'm not gonna charge you any extra. I want to do a load test. I'm purposely gonna leave behind some square head bolts. I'm only gonna fix some of your stuff, and I wanna purposely load test this fire escape. So I can videotape it and show it to all these lovely people. So 7 guys, starting at 7 in the morning until 7 at night, loaded a truck with 3,000 pounds of 50-pound sandbags, and we did this. And you start at the top, and then you bring bags down the stairs and stuff like that. So let's load test it, right? That's it. There's the crew of, I don't know what we're gonna call them, but they're all part of my group, right? The crew. So we started there, and then you gotta bring the bags down, then you load test this, and so see all the. Just gotta go around. And did somebody videotape the situation? There's Tom taking measurements before, during, and after, because you can't have any variation on the. Oh, by the way, any danger? Are we using our lifts? Are we using our cherry pickers? Can they get in there? So what do we have to risk? We're risking 50-pound sandbags. You can mistakenly get arrested for killing a 50-pound sandbag and the guy holding it. Come on, baby.
So now we're loading onto a stair, and we're doing a concentrated load of every other tread, 200 pounds.
Oh, you know what 6 sandbags look like on a tray?
Hey Tom, he's about to start. If you want to note that the staircase is starting, what time?
So you have to tie sandbags down. Crazy?
Just keep doing it.
Can it be done though? If somebody says, oh, nobody does it, what do you say? Oh, it can be done. There's some idiot people out there, but they don't like it though. And it's tiring. So, I thought you guys would have a kick out of that. All right, so this is another case I was in. A fireman fell through the fire escape. It was in Jersey. I forgot the city, but here's what happened, when we got there, and I'll show you why I learned a lot from that case, was this fire escape right here. The fireman actually fell through, I remember, it was these three treads right here. He fell down, so he was going up to basically blow out that window, and there was a woman and a child up there. He was gonna vent it, I guess you guys call it venting. And when he went up, he fell through, but then he went back, saved the woman, but then he's 27 years old. After the adrenaline wore off, what happened to him? Permanently crippled. So he sued. With the key to this lawsuit that they settled, the key was that he was suing not for, on the job, injury, collect the rest of my life. He sued for negligence, the owner for negligence. So the metallurgist proved that this fire escape has not been maintained over 25 years based on the amount of rust growth and everything. And when I went there to examine this fire escape as an expert inspector, and we had that day with us lawyers, firemen, and all these people, that 2.5 years later, the treads that were there were all fixed, but the rest of the fire escape was in a state of collapse. So they quickly settled that case, but it gets comical, But so let me tell you why fire escapes rot from the inside out. By the way, questions yet? Nobody's questions? Anybody have anything they want to, has anybody ever lost somebody or had somebody injured because of a fire escape here?
We had a fireman going up an outside fire escape at the old Rangold Brewery, and it was at night. And as he was going up, there was someone above on the second set of stairs. That tread gave out, and if it wasn't for the SCBA bottle on his back, he would have been crippled, because the whole step let loose and it just fell and hit the bottle and just careened off the bottle. I mean, he had wound up with back pain, and that was really it. But it was like a 32-inch step, and we had it in the firehouse for years as just to show the guys it. And then luckily they actually got rid of the whole building and the stair. And
anybody that's ever had anybody hurt or killed in a fire escape related accident, it's negligence. So if you want to bring, it's just not a work related injury, it's neglect on the ownership part, and lawsuits occur because of it on behalf of the person that got hurt. So there's extra money there. So if anybody, question?
Just a comment. I have a friend who worked for Verizon several years ago and was using the fire escape to connect his lines at the time, and it collapsed under him. Fortunately, he was only on the second floor, so he wasn't seriously injured, but he was one of the lucky ones.
Yep. These, but like happened in Philadelphia, 3 students you send your kids off to college. They just had a birthday party. They actually lived in the building. You know what I'm saying? They were attending somebody else's birthday party, and boom, 3 got hurt. 1 died in the hospital afterwards. Chicago, fireman fell off a ladder in Colorado Springs. He's fixing the roof. And what actually happened there, just so you know, the cantilever had the nose weight on it. The cantilever, there's not a tail weight on it. There's a nose and it's a cable, and that goes up. From the information that I gathered, that it wouldn't come down. So that one of the guys went out as far as he could on the tip, and was trying to get it to go. It wouldn't come down. So then 2 or more of his guys came over to add more weight to that, because it goes up through a cable. The cable snapped, caught him on the hearing. Almost decapitated him, or decapitated him. I was told he was decapitated. But it's things like that. That fire escape ladder. Again, he was working on the roof, but they were also not using the fire escape correctly. So, from that case, we were able to come up with something. Ready? Let me tell you how fire escapes are built. And I have to prove to you that fire escapes rot from the inside out. As soon as I prove that out, you'll be able to say that any rusty fire escape has been, in order for it to rust, it takes almost 15 to 25 years for it to totally rust to brown. It had to start in the connections first. So when you look at a rusty fire escape, are the connections suspect? The answer is yes, and I have to prove it to you. Because in the court case, we have to prove it. So, every fire escape in the 1900s and every fire escape in the 2000s is built the same way. We call the mill, we get 20-foot lengths of steel, we bring it to the shop, and we make. So there's no company making components. So everything is made from a 20-foot length of something. 20-foot length of grating, angle, flats, And when you make up a tread, I'm gonna use treads as the only example right now, but whether it's a support or railing, it's all the same. I take a 20-foot piece of steel, I cut it into little bite-sized pieces, I put the two pieces together, and then I drill a hole or I weld it together. 98% of every fire escape in the US is bolted or riveted. No welded fire escape, they don't last. There's plenty of welded ones there. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do with welds. Every welded fire escape that I ever inspect in New York City will get a bolt in it. Even though that weld could be done by a guy that doesn't know welding from anywhere or a certified welder, every welded connection will get a bolt to eliminate the X-ray and the load test requirement on that weld. But aside from that, since 1900, 98% of all the fire escapes get this piece of steel, drill a hole, put a rivet, put a bolt in it. Now, when I put the rivet or that bolt through it, did I prime the inside of those two things? Those two steels? No. Got it? So I welded, bolted, or riveted it, made it my tread component, of which I have to make 58 of them, just like it. So many brackets, so many rails. It is any of the joints in every component I made got primer inside the two pieces before I welded it, sealed it, or bolted it. So you got two naked pieces of steel, and when I finish my tread, what do I do with it? I prime it and I paint it. Do I reopen up all those connections and prime inside those connections? So I encapsulate my tread, I encapsulate my brackets, and I encapsulate my railings. But in all the joints where two pieces of metal have, are they touching each other, and are they naked? Got it? 100 years ago. So if anybody has ever sweated a pipe, and you take a torch and you sweat a piece of steel or sweat a piece of pipe, what does it look like it's doing? Does it look like it's moist and it's wet? Because as you heat it, it goes, and you start seeing the moisture come out. So that means everything starts with moisture in it. So it already has moisture in it. So why did I encapsulate it with primer and paint? Because what does rust need to grow? And?
Water.
So does steel already bring its own water?
Mm-hmm.
What's it need? So as soon as I encapsulate it, what am I not giving it? But as soon as when you have a bolted connection, anything bolted connection, and it heats up in the summer, what's it do?
Loosens.
What's it do when it cools in the winter? What's it do to the paint that's on there? Cracks it. What's it allow in? Air. Plus what else when it rains? More moisture. And what happens is, this is again, evidence that we had at the case. What you get is surface rust trying to get in there. What are you supposed to do every 3 to 5 years? As an owner of the building, you're supposed to go there and clean that off and do what? Apply paint, and then what are you stopping from getting back into? Water and air, and the thing is going to be fine. Do people do that in 1900s? 1925? 1950? Did they do that? No. So what happens is, it keeps on growing. As it grows, as soon as it gets a 16th and 8th or whatever growing through here, is that connection suspect? Yes, so now, even though the bolt is still holding 25, 50 years ago, even though I took a ping hammer to it and I took a sledgehammer, can I break it? No. But can I pass it if I see visible rust inside the connection? So, but did they pass it with the opinion letters 25, 50 years ago? Because they ain't fallen, they stomped on it, you guys have been walking on it, so they're saying it's been tested many, many times. So, then, all of a sudden, if you let it grow too long, it starts becoming not an eighth, it becomes a quarter. And all these rivets that are in it, how long are they? They're only a quarter. So when you push the clip beyond the rivet, what happens? What's the only thing holding it in position? Rust. So as long as you don't exceed its force by stepping on it with all your weight, but as soon as you exceed the force and you step on it with your weight and there's no longer a pin there holding it, it's trying to do this. You push it out far enough, what happens? She's going to drop, right? So that's what happened on the fire escape for the firemen. This is what we proved. We proved that this was allowed to grow for 25 years. And that regardless of how many inspections they did or not, they didn't do any inspections, that the owner had the responsibility because the code, your state code says you must maintain your property at all times. And ignorance of the law is no excuse. And so they quickly settled because they were able to prove that this means of egress was not properly maintained by who? The owner and his agents. And so was this a fall, was this a work-related injury, or was this negligence that caused a work-related injury? That's how they won the case. Got it? So with that, This is when the thing collapsed, the firemen fell through. This is us when we got there, 2.5 years later, examining the fire escape. This is all the treads that were dangling there. I'm going to show you how fire escapes are built. 100 years they have not changed the fabrication. So I'm going to tell you how they tie into masonry buildings, how they tie into wood structures. Got it? Do you know that the masonry, a piece of steel going into a masonry building only goes in 8 to 12 inches? So everybody, there's a veneer that could either be brick, vinyl, or, I was going to say the other thing that everybody's trying to get rid of, the shingles, you know, the asbestos shingles. Or some of them still have those shingles on the outside made of tar. What do they call those? What is it?
Asphalt shingles.
Asphalt shingles, right? That basically help the fire, you know, take off a little faster. So this is it. It only goes into every building 8 to 12 inches, guys. That's it. So when they go in, the first thing they start cracking, when they start exploding, what do they break? The inside masonry or the outside veneer? So a lot of times they'll come and fix just the veneer. When this thing starts cracking and growing, guess what else it also cracks? All your lentils. That's the first indication that something's happening, that the fire escape is getting water. Water is going in, pushing it in all 4 directions, and it's going to go to the weakest point, and the weakest point is just above it, near all the window openings, and all the lentils all get cracked. So it does this so it can get fresh water, and get fresh water from here every time it snows and rains. Guess what fire escapes feed off of? Air and water, and you just, it does all the work by itself. You leave it alone, it'll do that. So this 2 staircases with the dangling treads. This staircase holding a staircase, there's a bracket on this side. Where's the bracket for this side?